Shalom, shalom. I'm Araya Allah coming at you with another lesson straight out of the Lion's Den Kept of Yashala. But before I get started with this lesson, I would like to give all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son in their proper true names. We're going to start off by saying Kal, Halayim, La, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ha, Rakah, Kwadash, Ma'amath. Definitely want to give double honors to the apostles of GMS and their elders. Definitely want to give double honors to my elder apostle, Aharwan Banya Shalom of the Lion's Den Camp. All right. Shalom to the sincere men, women, and children that believe in sincerity and truth and that believe on the names of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. All right. Shalom to the Lion's Den Camp and to the rest of the elect that's out there. All right. TMZ has dropped the article and it reads, video shows UFO get hit by Hellfire Missile. Continues flying unobstructed. All right. So for those who don't know, the so-called UFOs or the UAPs, all right, are truly the chariots of the Lord, man. All right, these are what the angels ride upon or ride in. All right. But without further ado, let's get into it, man. I'm gonna blow this up so you can kind of see it because it's based off of the radar, so it's kind of in black and white. All right, but I'm gonna try to guide it with my cursor to kind of show you, all right, what's going on. All right, so let's get into it. It takes about 5 or 10 seconds for that for the Hellfire Missile to show up. But this is the chariot right here, all right, and the missile gonna come in from this side. Let's run that back. Somebody come look at this. Somebody come look at this. And I'm also drop the link in the description. All right, so you can go catch this for yourself and read the article as well. All right. This is the so-called UFO here. All right. And just kind of following it. That's pretty much the video, man. All right, but the article reads, said, wild clip just surfaced from a, it's like, let me pause this. All right, it says a wild clip just surfaced from a congressional UAP. So like, I guess it just won't stop. All right, it says a wild clip just surfaced from a congressional UAP hearing showing a glowing orb cruising over the Yemen coast like nothing happened, even after the U.S. allegedly blasted a Hellfire Missile at it. All right, Pete, this Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson whipped out the footage Tuesday in D.C. showing an MQ-9 Reaper tailing the mysterious orb on October 30th, 2024. But when the drone got the green light to fire, the missile literally bounced off and the thing zipped away at insane speed, totally unfazed. Right? Burleson, a big-time advocate from government transparency on unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP. Some people say unidentified aerial phenomenon. It says drove the point home. This footage came straight from a whistleblower and is now under independent review. All right, the footage hit like a bombshell in the middle of a congressional hearing as 3 Navy and Air Force vets swore under an oath they've seen UFOs with their own eyes and dropped the hammer, accusing U.S. intel of running a full-blown cover-up. Right. Let me grab some precepts, man. It should be a bunch of precepts should be running through your mind. We can, dealing with the UFOs. You can go into Ezekiel 1 and 2. But I'm gonna start off in Revelations 12. All right, as soon as this thing load up. All right, but the reason why I wanted to start off with Revelation 12 because uh, you know, the first thing came to my mind was the war in heaven. All right, this Revelation 12 and 9, and it reads, Salakia, and 7, and it reads, the subtitle says, the angel Michael. All right, verse 7, it says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Right. So when I see something like that, that shows me that's a precursor, right, to to the main event that's gonna come. Right? You know, Lord willing, it come either at the end of this year or in the next couple of years. All right, because we're ready to get up out of here, man. We're ready for the deliverance and be saved from this hell that we living in, man, and this persecution that's in amongst us. Man. All right, but when it goes into the dragon, right, the beast gave power to the dragon, man. The dragon today, it will be NATO, right? The EU, NATO, and America will be the whore that rise upon it, man. Right? America being that being pretty much being the head charge, right? Because anybody, the rider who rides upon the animal, right, is usually the one that's in charge, right? Or guiding the horse, right? If you got a horse and a rider, right? So America is that whore that's riding upon that scarlet colored beast, man. And the Roman Empire that's readvised today, right? Has been pushing their wickedness, man, across the whole world, dealing with the religion, dealing with the with the banking system, dealing with the military. As far as how especially with America, how they went around conquering everything, pillaging everything, stealing, robbing, and unaliving everything and everyone, especially the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? And the speckled bird that bear the same spirit as such, but may look like the other nations, right? So the Lord got the judgment for them, but they're so wicked, man. They have the mindset, they have that thought that they're going to try to come against Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua. They feel like they can come against the Lord and his angels, man, dealing with Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, as well as the elect, All right, verse 8, it says, all right, and prevailed not. See, just like that missile bounced off, right? Didn't even phase that so-called UFO, which is really a chariot, right? They're not going to prevail, man, So as the article was reading, it's under basically independent review right now, because what they're going to try to do is build something, right? For one, they don't want all that information coming out, but they're going to try to build something, man, to, give better results than what that Hellfire Missile did with that so-called UFO, right? But at the end of the day, just like the scriptures say, man, they should not prevail. Right, verse 8, and prevail not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven, man. See? And start from 7 again, Revelation 12:7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and their dragon fought and his angels, right? So the whole point of it is to save the elect, man, to bring us out of this wickedness that we're in, dealing with the religion, this false doctrine, these false religions, right? Praying to these false deities, right? To gather us, man. And we're gonna be in straight hell. We in hell now, but it's finna get worse, man. Jacob trouble, right? MOTB, martial law. All of these things are in the midst, man. You see what they're doing to our to the Northern Kingdom, the Latinos, dealing with ICE, and you see what they're doing right now in Washington D.C. and in Chicago, and it's mostly aimed towards our community, All right, but verse 9, it says, and the great dragon was cast out, and the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him, right? And that's gonna go into the scattering, right? Them being scattered, just like how we were scattered, right? So when the Lord destroys America, right, completely turning this place to a lake of fire, as well as hitting the state of Israel, there's going to be a lot of other places that get hit too, like these NATO countries, um, Russia, all these countries, man, are going to take some type of blow as well, right? But they might not be completely wiped out, right? But America is definitely done for, man. The horror that rides upon the scarlet colored beast will be completely wiped out, man. All right. But this goes into that scattering, man. Matter of fact, let's go to Jeremiah 51, all right? Because um, we were just reading in verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out, and the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Right? This is not talking about Lucifer or angels that came down from heaven and had and laid down with the daughters of men. Right? This is talking about the Roman Empire that was readvised, man. Right? That's still pushing their power today across the world, dealing with NATO, dealing with the West. You can just say the West as a whole, right? And as well as America, right? Dealing with NATO and the EU and America. All right, this is what that's going into. All right, and it's going to be a scattering because of nuclear destruction. All right, let's get Salaki. Yeah. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 51 real quick. The phone moving a little slow, Slocky. This Jeremiah 51:1. Speaking of the scattering, and it's gonna come through um nuclear destruction, man. When the Lord separates us from them, right? Separating the wheat from the chaff, man. All right, and they're gonna be scattered. How do you scatter things, man? All right, with the wind. That's the best way to scatter stuff, right? So when you speak of the wind or destroying winds, right? That's what's going to cause the chaff to be burnt up and be scattered as well. All right. So let's get it. This is Jeremiah 51:1. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will rise up against Babylon, against Babylon, America, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, right? NATO, and the EU, right? In the midst of them that rise up against me, right? See all the lies and false doctrine they push across the whole world, right? Knowing that that they don't really have a God, they don't really have nobody, no covering. All right, so they try to deceive the whole world so we all can be uncovered. All right, but it says, all right, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will rise up against Babylon, America, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, right? The NATO and the EU, that rise up against me, a destroying wind. See, that's going into nuclear destruction. Let's keep reading. All right, verse 2. And will send unto Babylon fanners, right? The enemies that shall fan her and shall empty her land. See, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Man, everybody pointing their ICBMs at this place, man. Right? And the next verse proves that. Right? Verse 3. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in the brigandine, in his brigandine, right? First thing, I just did a video on bunkers, man. My previous video, right? They truly believe that during World War III nuclear destruction, that their brigadines is gonna be able to protect them. Brigadine is like back in the day it was like chainmail, stuff like that they put on to keep themselves from getting wounded, right? Just like a type of armor, basically, right? And today that would be what would keep what would people build today to keep them safe through nuclear destruction? Bunkers, man. All right, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. See, all her hosts, man. Right. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel, see, hath not been forsaken, nor Judah, of his power, right? Of his God, of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel, right? Because look who a bastard dwells in Ashdod, man. You know, our land over there is being defiled, man. Our land, the 10 tribes came here and populated the Americas too. This land is defiled as well, right? Let's go to Malachi 4:1. And it reads, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, see, all the proud, man, right? Who's the most proud on the earth, man? Esau, Edom, man. Have that mindset that, they can't be moved out the way. That, that the Most High ain't going to do nothing to them. That they feel like they can go against the angels and go against the Most High and go against the Lamb, which is Yahushua. All right, not Jebus. Right, that's their lies that they push, man. That false name. Right, it says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." See, "but unto you that fear my name," see, goes back into the name. That's why the name is very important. Shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. Right. So we're gonna be in that time we're gonna be changed into in the blink of an eye. Becoming immortal, man, becoming completely righteous and never sinning again, man. Right. And then any children that we have in the kingdom are gonna grow up and be covered, man, completely covered, right? Just as we are completely covered, man, in that day, right? That's what the cows of the stall mean. That when you research that cows of a stall, what is a stall? A stall is basically a protected area for a particular animal inside the barn, right? So that's how much you're going to be taken care of, man. Lord willing, I'm part of that number. Verse 3, "And ye shall tread down." See, when the Lord changes us in the twinkle of an eye, he going to make us go get them out of them bunkers, man. And we're going to be bringing all these surviving, all the nations that did survive World War III, to come bow down to to Yahushua, man. That's why the scriptures say he's going to wear many crowns, man. He basically coming to conquer all nations, man. Right? Our king, our big brother. Ooh, it don't get no better than that, man. You just better hope and pray that your ass is not an Edomite or a heathen in general. Right? Verse 3, "And ye shall tread down." See, ye shall tread down. Right? The ones that be changed to in the twinkle of an eye. Right? The ones that's gonna be saved in that day, man. "And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts," right? The God of armies. Oh, let's go to what was it, Zechariah? I didn't mean to hit that. Zechariah 14. So like Zechariah 14. Come on, phone. There we go. This is Zechariah 14:1. "Behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh cometh, and thy spoils shall be divided in the midst of thee." See, there goes into that scattering, right? Because just like when those fanners come in, right? Speaking of these other nations bombing, right? America, right? Turning this place into a lake of fire, completely destroying America, right? That's that chaff. That's when the Lord's gonna deliver us, because most Israelites are here, right, in the place of judgment, right. So when this place gets destroyed, we're gonna be delivered, right, but the rest are gonna be blown away as chaff, man, right. That's the separating the wheat from the chaff, right. That's when the chaff is gonna get burnt up, right, and the rest is gonna be scattered. All these other nations that or Edomites that might survive, they're going to be scattered, man, running for their life. Speaking of people like places like that over there in Europe, right? Europe is going to take some blows, but it's not going to be utterly destroyed like America. Man. But that's where that scattering goes into as well. They're going to be scattered as well, right? Trying to hide from the Lamb and the elect and the rest of the angels, man. Going up into mountains, going into their bunkers, asking the rocks to fall on them, locking up their bunkers, super tight. you know, there's no escaping, man. Verse 1 again. Behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the house rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity. See, it's no escaping, bro. You're going into captivity if for the heathens that survive. They can be in other places of the world. You're still going to captivity, man. Anybody in the state of Israel, when and during that time when they're being destroyed as well, anybody that survives that, they're going into captivity. But if you're here in America, and, and you hear when them ICBMs, go up into the sky looking like a shaking fig tree, figs falling out of a shaking fig tree, due to some a massive wind. But anyways, if you're here and you're a heathen, you're gonna be burnt up, man, as chaff, and you're gonna be ashes on our feet, man. It says, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle, man. So, it ain't looking good. But again, just wanted to go into that scattering, man, and that chaff being burnt up, right? Jeremiah 51, right? Those fanners, man, those enemies, when they got their bullseye on America, man, they locked in, got what they call that a locking system, a missile locking system on America, man. Russia has ICBMs that can reach from their missile silos all the way to America, by the way. All right. Let's go back to Revelation 12 and 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, right? Hamashiachim. For the accusers of our brother, see, that's how you know it's talking about people. It's not talking about no damn Lucifer, man. Right? Verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, right? These are people, Esau, Edom, right? Called the devil, and Satan, which is his spiritual counterpart, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, right? And Satan is not Lucifer, right? Satan is just the spiritual demons on the left-hand side of the Most High, doing the will of the Most High. All right? Satan works for the Most High too. All right, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels, right? And his angels were cast out with him. So when you go into that cast out, that false doctrine got people thinking it's really literally talking about being cast out of heaven, right? But this is really what it's going into, right? It's the Greek word
Strong's G906. Balo.
All right. Outline of biblical usage, Salakia. It says to throw or let go of a thing without caring where it falls. But here's the point, all right? To scatter, to throw, cast into, to scatter. All right. So they're gonna be scattered, man, and blown away like burnt chaff, man. But again, this is talking about people, man. All right. The nation of Esau, all right, NATO, America, and the EU, you know, and as well as the state of Israel. Right, verse 9 again. The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, his spiritual counterpart, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast, right, unto the earth, or scattered, and his angels were scattered out with him, right, going into his messengers, right. Not talking about angels that's in the, spiritual angels. It's talking about, or angelic angels. It's talking about actual his people, or his messengers, or his followers, right? People that believe in America, people that believe in Europe, and and still follow the Roman Empire, man, spiritually. Verse 10, I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power, our God, and the power of his anointed, right, Hamashiachim, for the accusers of our brethren is cast down. See, they're gonna be scattered as well, man. Right? And they becoming the tail, right? No longer being the head, but becoming the tail, right? But the accuser of our brethren, again, this is how you know it's talking about people. It's not talking about Lucifer, right? Which we had done videos on that. But it's talking about Esau Edom, all right? Because he is the accuser of our brother, the ones that say, when you look into America today, they think that the Latinos and the Negroes, right? Negroes being first, but as well as the Latinos being the ones that, commit the most crimes, But when you really look throughout history, all the way up to today, they their sins outweigh us, their wickedness outweigh us, their unaliving, their genocide, their poisoning, spiritually, religiously, and physically, dealing with our foods, dealing with with the vaccines, dealing with, trying to be careful with YouTube, but dealing with, just look at the oceans, man. Our oceans are filthy, man, and it's because our people, oh my gosh, our people are so caught up in that wickedness, man. Esau Edom is depleting the ocean with things that's supposed to clean it, like oysters, crabs, shrimp, and they feed it to the Most High's children. This is, and so it's crazy how much wickedness they have committed and are still committing, man, while they continues to dump pollution into our waters, man. Pollution into our airs, right? They continuously commit genocide. They're the only ones that go into churches and shoot up churches and shoot up schools, right? They the one they look at the trafficking, I'm gonna keep moving, man. I don't want to catch a strike from YouTube, man. But anyway, as their wickedness is beyond ours, man. It's so high that it reaches it reaches all the way to the heavens, man. And the Lord is sick of it, man. He's sick of it. That's why he's finna come down and thrust in his sickle, But verse 10, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation. See? And what will be turned into changed into a blink of an eye, while he scatters the rest and burn up the chaff as well. It says, and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, for the accuser, for the accuser of our brother is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night, right? And they overcame him by what? By the blood of the Lamb, right? And by the word of their testimony, right? And they love not their lives unto their death, man, right? So this is why we do our videos. This is why we go out in the highways and byways, right? Presenting our bodies as a living sacrifice, man. Right? Doing the work, warning the people, being a good watchman, prophesying, telling the people of the upcoming events, man, the upcoming destruction, right? To teach our people, man, of their sickness, to turn, to come out of that sickness, come out of that confusion, man, come out of the, wipe the dust off your face, right? Speaking of dust, that that's also what fans, do, they sweep away dust. You can blow away dust, right? Blowing away that confusion, blowing away those lies, man. And at that time, that we'll be, at one of them missiles coming down, we'll be going up. All All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it there, man. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I had another precept, but it's all good. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. All right, Shalom and DTA.